Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, Wilmer? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
So are we live now or?
We are.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
So is it just me and you or is there more people?
No, there's going to be two more people
Okay.
presenting. Let's see. And this is my first time using this platform. Um, hope I
I
don't mess
never
up.
I never heard of it either.
Gloria had just showed me how to use it yesterday, and I still bothered her all day with figuring out different things.
So this automatically is live on Facebook or you click when you want it to be live?
I already clicked it before you came on, so it should be on Facebook, YouTube, and maybe Twitter. I can't remember. I think it's just Facebook and YouTube. Hey Maria, how's it going? YouTube.
Yeah, I can see you, but I don't see you. You go on Facebook.
Hey Maria, how's it going? YouTube.
Yeah, I can.
Wilmer, I think there's some.
Okay. It just
Background.
came on live.
Got it. Okay. Hey Anaí, how's it going? Oi Gabriela, tudo bem e você? Where is Lucas? He is late.
Let's see where he is.
Message. Oh, I think it's typing something right now. I'll be on in 5 minutes. Okay. Where is what's the girl's name? Vidalia. There we go. Add to stream.
Hi.
Hello, Vidalia. How's it going?
Hi.
Can you hear
Good.
us?
Good. I'm ready.
Hello.
Hi.
Let me move my computer back a little bit.
She's loading. I'm not sure if she's going to turn the camera on. Oh, there we go. How are you?
Good. Good. I will say everything in Spanish because my English is not good.
That's okay.
You're fine. It's good.
It's my
Most-
first time, so
That's okay. If you want to speak Spanish, that would
yeah, I will.
probably be okay. I think everyone here.
Yeah. I can say everything in Spanish if somebody can translate,
I can do that if you want.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because my English is not good.
If you want. I mean, I don't mind.
It sounds good to me, but that's okay.
Okay.
So hey guys, good evening. I will be moderating this a little bit. Just trying to make sure that we get as much information in as possible within 1 hour. I prefer not to go over an hour because I know we're all busy with our families. So to start, I want to go over and give each one of us a chance and talk about how you got a deportation order in the first place. That's a question that I get a lot. A lot of people may have deportation orders and they're not even aware. So I'll go ahead and start. The way I got a deportation order was I was brought here when I was 14 years old by my parents. We crossed the border illegally and we were apprehended by immigration when we crossed. And then we were taken to a center and processed and they released us in the United States with a notice to appear in court 6 months later. So what happened was 6 months later, my family didn't show up to that hearing, and the judge issued everybody a removal order in our absence. Um, and I'm saying in our absence because it does make a difference when we're trying to reopen your case. It's slightly different. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to go into the ins and outs, but it does make a difference when you're trying to reopen. So that's how I got my deportation order. I'll let Wilmer go next and explain how he got his.
Yeah, I think you brought an important point, Hugo, because when I say I have a deportation order, most people assume like, oh, what did you do wrong? Like, were you drunk driving, or how did you end up with a deportation order? But my story, I think, is similar like as yours. So I came to the U.S. when I was 15. However, I didn't come with my parents. And so I was arrested, not at the border, but a couple of hours away from the border, like Dallas, Texas area. And so I was taken to an immigration center. I was processed, and my brother picked me up. Then I did go to a court, had a lawyer that didn't really represent me well, didn't really meet with me to discuss like how we could win my case. So needless to say, I lost the case, and I was given an order of deportation. The lawyer at that time did appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals, the BIA. So once that order has been given, and I appealed to the Court of Appeals, the immigration judge no longer has jurisdiction over my case. So any motion to reopen no longer goes to the immigration court with the judge that issued the order, but now it goes to the West Virginia, where the Board of Immigration Appeals is located at.
Okay. We're going to stop there, and later on, when Lucas comes on, he can talk about how he was able to terminate his proceedings. So I'll let Vidalia tell us how she got her order.
Ok, yo no tengo orden de deportación. Yo viajé con advance parole la semana pasada, regresé al país. El problema era que yo tenía mucho miedo, la verdad, porque tengo doble entrada o múltiple entres, me confunde eso. Entonces tengo 2 entradas al país ilegalmente. Hace años fui arrestada por violencia doméstica injustamente, pero bueno, fue un caso de violencia doméstica, lo que me pusieron cargos de violencia doméstica. Y entonces era mi miedo, ¿verdad? Soy una dreamer como cualquiera de ustedes. De ver tantas historias aquí en el grupo, me motivé y dije, pues lo voy a hacer. Incluso vi los casos de Hugo y Wilmer, y yo decía, bueno, estoy entre la espada y la pared, ¿verdad? ¿Qué hago? Y entonces, al ver yo todo el tiempo el caso de ellos, siempre me la pasaba buscando en la lupa todo lo que ellos publicaban, me animé, apliqué para Advance Parole. Ya después de 3 meses, como saben, fui aprobada. Cuando yo tenía la carta en mano, la persona con la que me ayudó, ¿verdad? Me dijo, me preocupa mucho tu salida fuera del país. Le dije, ¿por qué? Dice, es que tienes 2 entradas. Entonces dijo, me preocupa eso, que no te dejen regresar, y que hace año fuiste arrestada por violencia doméstica, al cual mi caso fue expunge, fue desechado antes de yo aplicar para DACA. Me decidí, entonces yo dije, no me importa, yo lo voy a hacer, ¿verdad? Que sea lo que Dios quiera. Pues gracias a Dios fui aprobada. Como les vuelvo a repetir, cuando yo tenía la carta en mano, ella me dijo eso, y eso me puso como bien, con mucho miedo, nerviosa, como incluso posteé en el grupo que yo iba a perder mi oportunidad, que yo no iba a salir del país. ¿Por qué? Porque tenía doble entrada y el arresto. Entonces eso me ponía a mí como con mucho miedo que no me dejaran regresar. ¿Quiere usted interpretar un poquito de lo que dije?
You're on mute, Wilmer.
Basically, what Vidalia said is that she does not have a deportation order, but she does have double entry, and she was accused of domestic abuse just a few years ago, but her charges were dropped. And when she applied for advance parole, she did get the letter, but the person that helped her with the paperwork, I guess, was a little bit concerned, telling her that she might not be allowed to come back because of the double entry plus the charges. But okay, and that's pretty much it. Okay, ya
Okay. Ok, voy a seguir un poquito más espero motivar a muchas personas con mi historia. Miren, salí del país el 30 de julio, porque mi advance parole era era del 17 de julio a regresar antes del 27 de agosto. Entonces yo me fui del país, salí del país el 30 de julio. El 30 de julio yo tenía que regresar aquí, regresé 2 semanas antes, por cualquier cosa, uno nunca sabe, ¿verdad? Y es recomendable, como dicen, mejor antes, a que puede pasar algo, que te cancelen tu vuelo o algo. Entonces yo regresé el sábado pasado regresé. Sí les cuento, sí tenía poquito de nervios, cuando ya anunciaban falta media hora para llegar al aeropuerto de Atlanta, fue donde yo llegué. Yo entre mí decía, tranquila, no va a pasar nada, y se me hizo bien gracioso a la vez, porque yo en mi mente, para que yo no me pusiera nerviosa, yo decía entre mí, tranquila Vidalia, American City, y ahorita me acuerdo y me da tanta risa, ¿verdad? Porque eso fue lo que yo puse aquí. Y pues eso me ayudó mucho a mí, la verdad, a no ponerme nerviosa. Cuando yo llegué a inmigración, me preguntaron que si viajé con mis 2 niños, mi niña de 7 años y mi niño de 4 añitos. Sí fue un poco difícil, pero nada de lo normal. Llegué a migración, me preguntan residente, ciudadanos americanos o visa. Yo le dije a la muchacha, a la oficial, le dije, pues ellos 2 son ciudadanos americanos y yo vengo con advance parole, bajo DACA. Y muy amablemente me dijo, sí señorita, vaya a la línea de visa. Había como 150 personas adelante de mí, y pues ya que antes de que yo llegara al oficial, yo puse en mi mano el pasaporte de mis niños, y abrí el mío, puse la carta el permiso de advance parole junto con la tarjeta de DACA. Cuando yo llegué al oficial, nada más le di mis documentos y me dice, tengo que tomar fotos a los niños, nada más foto para ti, huella, y lo que es la foto. Y perfecto, me tomó foto, muy amable el oficial, la verdad. Me dice, tienes que ir a una segunda inspección, al cual yo ya sabía, ¿verdad? Por todas las experiencias de ustedes que yo había visto. No estaba nerviosa en ese momento, estaba bien tranquila. Me dijo un oficial, te va a acompañar a la segunda inspección. Le dije, ok, fue lo único que dije, ok. Y ya llega el oficial y me dice en inglés, follow me. Y pues yo lo seguí, ya como 1 minuto, 2 minutos, el oficial era un señor ya mayor edad. Y me dice, ¿hablas español? Pero así muy amable. Y le digo, sí, y me empieza a sacar plática de mi niño y todo. Me dice, incluso me dijo, todo va a estar bien, no te espantes, tú tranquila. Y le dije, ok. Lo seguí hasta que fue al famoso cuartito. Cuando yo llegué al famoso cuartito, vi ventanillas y con 2 oficiales solamente había. Vi que antes de eso él me dijo, vas a esperar en una sala de espera, no sé cuánto tiempo, tal vez 1 o 2 minutos, depende. Le dije, perfecto, yo miré que él entregó. Entonces ahí sí me puse un poquito como con miedito, ¿verdad? Porque vi que entregó los papeles al oficial y abrieron la puerta, el famoso cuartito. Me dijo el oficial con el que me acompañó, me dijo, ¿te vas a sentar ahí? Cuando llamen tu nombre, te paras y vas con el oficial. Déjenme decirle que yo apenas me iba sentando cuando escucho mi nombre, Vidalia Hernández, pero con una voz bien fuerte. Y yo que me paro, me fui. Cuando yo llegué al oficial, me dice, your pass is ready. You welcome hand. You're ready to go. Yo sentí una emoción porque no fue nada de lo que yo me imaginé. No fue nada. Entonces yo les aconsejo de verdad que no tengan miedo, porque yo estuve a punto de dejar perder el advance parole, de que se me venciera por mi miedo. Gracias a todos los que están aquí en el grupo, me motivaron, me decían, si te lo probaron es por algo, tú ve, tú tranquila. Miren, yo me fui tranquila a México, ya pues todo salió bien, gracias a Dios. Entonces no hay que tener miedo, como dicen, si te lo probaron es porque todo va a estar bien, nos toman huellas. Y pues sí, y como me decían muchas personas, se tomaron huellas. Si hubiera pasado algo que no estaba bien, obvio que no te lo hubieran dado. No sé si Wilmer quiere explicar un poquito, por favor.
Okay. I'm just going to tell what she said. She said, I just hope that I can make some people be less fearful of traveling. So I left the US on July 30th and returned on August 13th through Atlanta Airport. I was very nervous on the way back. 30 minutes before the airplane landed, I was kind of like speaking to myself, like just kind of saying, this is an American city, I'll be okay. I also traveled with my 2 kids, but it wasn't too difficult taking my kids. So the only question, they only took a picture of us, they took a photo, they took the fingerprint, and then I followed the officer to the room. And then once I got there, I gave my paperwork and I heard them call my name. The officer spoke kind of loud, but when the only thing that he said to me is like, here's your passport, you're ready to go. No questions asked. So all I had to say is like, people, don't be afraid of traveling. You got this. I almost let my document expire, but I'm glad that I met this group because you guys have been helpful to me.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, Vidalia.
De nada. Gracias al grupo, porque mi sueño fue hecho realidad.
Very good. We're glad to hear that. Now, Lucas, we started talking about how we got our removal order in the first place. So if you can go over that for us in about 2 or 3 minutes, and then the rest of us, we'll go back around and go back to you to talk about our experience actually traveling. And then at the end, we'll let you talk about how you were able to terminate your order.
Okay, so I arrived a little late. My name is Lucas. I am from Brazil. So people usually get deportation orders if they're caught crossing the country illegally. So if you're crossing the Mexican border illegally, or if you're even the Canadian border illegally, you are going to get a removal order, okay? They're going to give you a date to show up to court. If you don't show up, then the judge will order you to be removed from the country. This also applies to people who who commit crimes and such. They can also get removal orders. But I did have one before. I do not have one anymore. Okay, just to be clear. So I traveled with mine terminated. Okay.
So Lucas and I had the exact same situation. Thankfully, he was able to terminate his order, and he actually traveled after he was terminated, and I traveled with mine still open. And I wanted to just clarify what he said. For people who crossed the border illegally, said you're going to get a deportation order. That's just if you get caught. In our case, we got caught, and we were processed, and we were given the notice to appear. Most of you never got caught, so that's the reason why you don't have a deportation order. But if you're not sure, absolutely get your FOIA. We have a question for Vidalia asking right here. ¿Tus entradas dobles aparecen en tu FOIA, Vidalia?
Yo pedí la FOIA, pero ya que yo estaba para atrás, es que nada más una vez fui arrestada. Nada más una vez fui arrestada. La primera vez que yo entré fue que me agarró migración y pues me regresó. Pero yo pedí mi FOIA y me llegó, cuando regresé al país, ya estaba aquí. Entonces, yo la revisé, me llamó la persona que me ayudó y nada más me aparece la entrada que me agarraron. Solamente una vez, la que me agarró migración.
Okay, so just to be clear, even if it doesn't show on her FOIA, it wouldn't actually show double entry because she was only caught one time. But obviously, immigration knows she's crossed twice, because if she was caught one time and sent back, but she's here, obviously that means she came back after that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about my experience traveling, and then we're going to go to Wilmer, and then end with Lucas, and he can go ahead and tell us about how he terminated his order. So I traveled the first time last year in June. ¿Tiene algo, Vidalia?
Sí, ok, déjenme explicar, porque muchos van a estar confundidos como que por qué no me apareció las dos entradas en mi FOIA. La primera vez, yo tengo 2 entradas, porque entré la primera vez, entonces fui detenida por migración y pues me regresaron. Entonces, cuando yo salí del país y volví a regresar fue el motivo de que mi niño de 5 añitos falleció aquí en el país. Entonces yo decidimos, ¿verdad?, llevar su cuerpo a México. Entonces yo viajé en avión, me fui en el avión, entonces por eso yo digo que tengo 2 entradas, porque pues me va a aparecer la entrada que me agarró migración, que me detuvo, y pues obvio porque me fui en el avión, ahí queda todo registrado, entonces por eso yo siempre en mi aplicación de DACA puse las salidas que yo tuve, para que no vaya a haber como que se confundan y digan, ¿por qué no le apareció en la FOIA las 2 entradas?
Sí, yo expliqué más o menos esto para todos también. So I did travel last year for the first time in June. It was an emergency advance parole for my mother's death. I was out of the country for 5 weeks. Before I traveled, I consulted with an attorney, the same attorney that I've been talking to for years and years, and always told me you can travel even with your case open. It's fine. He says he's had hundreds of clients in the exact same situation. Everybody was able to come back. And he emphasizes that there are no documented cases of people who were not able to come back on advance parole having DACA. So in that situation, my mother passed away. I decided to risk it all and go. I was in Brazil for 3 weeks. At the time, there was a COVID travel ban. So I had to go to Mexico for 14 days to be considered quarantined and be able to come back to the States. And I came back through Atlanta. That first time, there were a couple of questions. Where are you coming from? How long were you gone? Are you bringing anything? Why did you travel? That was pretty much it. It took 15 minutes, and I was shocked for about 5 to 10 seconds, not believing that was all, and I was free to go. I almost asked the officer if he was sure, if he didn't need anything else. I was fully expecting to be questioned for 2 hours about how I came, why I have a deportation order, and all that. I was expecting that, but that did not come up. So after that first time, I was approved for another advanced parole through the mail, and I traveled to see my sister in Spain, and I went back to Brazil, and I was gone for a total of 5 more weeks. That time I came back through Miami, and it took a while in secondary inspection. I was there for almost 3 hours. I started getting nervous. But it was because there were a lot of people in front of me. They were letting people go in front of me who were on visas. I overheard the officer saying that for most of those people, they had to do a soft check. But if you have advanced parole, they do a hard check, which means they go through your entire record and it takes more time. So they were letting people go in front of me. So that made me nervous. I was like, okay, this time they're definitely going to see that I have a deportation order. But once again, that time, 0 questions, like even less than Atlanta. And third time, I went through Miami again. That time I just went to Mexico. It took about 30 minutes. Again, 0 questions. And fourth time, I went back to Europe and for a week, and I came back to Atlanta. The only question was, I was traveling with my spouse, and they said, how are you guys related? That was the only thing. In secondary inspection, I sat down, and they told my spouse to go get the bag while I was waiting for my passport to be stamped. And as soon as it got the bag, he didn't even have time to sit down to wait for me. I was already done, and we were good to go. So 4 times, I was never asked about anything. And if that happened to me, I'm sure you can travel. If you're approved, you're good to go. So let's hear about Wilmer.
So for me, I knew about advance parole for a long time since I ever got DACA, but I did ask several lawyers, like, could I ask for advance parole? And every single person said, no, you can't, because you have a deportation order and they won't let you come back in. Then in 2016, I got married. We filed my I-130. We filed a motion to reopen. So motions to reopen are difficult to win. Rarely, some people you see them that they got it terminated super easily, but that's like a unicorn in the pool of cases. So file a motion to reopen with the BIA, got denied. We appealed to the Ninth Circuit, got denied. Then something about Ms. Chavez came out that if your notice to appear didn't have the date and time, then it was invalid. So we appealed to the BIA based on that. Case got denied. And then my lawyer said we could appeal to the Ninth Circuit. It takes 4 years to hear back. So I was like, no, I am not appealing. There's no way I'm going to win, so I'm just not going to do it. So I asked her if I could do advanced parole, and she still said no. But then my father got very sick in Guatemala, and she was like, okay, fine. If you really do want to go, we'll file the paperwork for you. But just know that you most likely will not be allowed to come back. So we filed the paperwork. I went to an info pass here in Fresno, and the officer, the manager of the office denied my application. And she said she was denying it based on the order of deportation. So she said, if I give you the advanced parole, you will not be allowed to come back. So that was it, I guess. But I was still kind of like, why do I see people on Facebook in the group getting approved? So something's not right. So I asked the lawyer to send it through the mail to see if I will get approved, but she kind of said, no, we're not going to do that. They will be able to see that you already were denied, so there's no point. But so I did it on my own. I got all my paperwork, and I still sent it and got approved. So I got approved for 6 months, multiple entries. And then I was kind of like, Vidali, I was like, what if I'm not allowed back? What if I'm the one person with a deportation order who is not allowed to come back? So I saw your lawyer here on Facebook, Hugo, and he said, you will have zero problems coming back. Just go. So I did go for 4 days back to Guatemala, saw my mom. I was only there for 4 years. Didn't want to stay too long because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sleep. So on the way back, I was super afraid. I was like, oh, well, I guess this is it. This is how far I will get. But there was like 5 people in the waiting room. They were allowing those who have kids to go first. So they get priority over everybody else. And so the only thing the officer asked was like, what's your legal status in the U.S.? And of course, I just said DACA. And then he said, you're good to go. But it was pretty scary though, because I did see like a red tag on my passport, and I was looking at everybody else's. In my head, I'm just trying to make sense of like why there's a red tag on mine. And I freaked myself out, but I guess it was nothing. So I came back, and now we're looking forward to adjusting status. I guess we're going to try to send a waiver for returning back before 10 years with the I-485, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome. We're very glad, because I remember your plight. You were considering letting it expire because you were so scared, but we're very happy that you decided to go. Are you going to use it again? Did it expire already?
It hasn't expired, but I'm just going to try to see if I can get adjust to the AOS before I do it again.
Go ahead.
Ok, yo estoy pensando en volver a aplicar otra vez. Ya no tengo miedo, ya me siento más tranquila. Entonces, yo sinceramente, tal vez muchos no crean o están como en shock de que yo diga mi historia, ¿verdad? Pero yo sinceramente, yo estoy pensando otra vez en volver a aplicar para Advance Parole y volver a llegar al aeropuerto de Atlanta. Y aquí tengo mi pasaporte. Les voy a mostrar mi sello para que vean que sí es cierto. Sí puedo mostrarlo, ¿verdad?
Sí, claro.
Ok. Les voy a mostrar, miren, para que vean. Aquí está el sello de Advance Parole. que yo tuve. Entonces, para los que están en la misma situación que yo, sinceramente, háganlo, aprovechen ahorita que gracias a Dios tenemos la oportunidad de visitar nuestro país. Y no tengan miedo, no tengan miedo a, como yo al principio, ¿verdad? Que yo estaba como diciendo, no, no voy a ir, lo voy a dejar vencer porque tengo miedo de que no me dejen regresar. Pues no tengamos miedo. Gracias, y una vez más, le doy gracias al grupo de verdad porque se tomaron de mi tiempo, de su tiempo para leer mi publicación y animarme. Y gracias a ustedes yo lo hice. Entonces, miren, tengo doble entrada, un arresto de violencia doméstica hace como 10 años y aquí estoy para atrás. Así que no se detengan, aprovechen ahorita que se puede, porque uno nunca sabe lo que puede pasar el día de mañana. Ustedes saben que DACA está en hold, entonces aprovechen. Yo les aconsejo sinceramente mi experiencia que sí se puede.
Gracias. We have a question from Victor, or a comment rather. To my understanding and interpretation of DACA, or DACA has more power than deportation proceedings. What I've learned being in these groups and listening to Charles Cook, you guys are tired of me mentioning his name, but I really think he's one of the most knowledgeable attorneys out there, and I love watching all of his lives. The advanced parole is based on your status. So for us, it's DACA. Having a deportation order or being in removal proceedings does not stop you from being eligible for DACA. So that's what matters. As long as you're eligible for DACA, the AP is good. The only time where I would say you should not travel is if you lied to get DACA, you're not really eligible for DACA, and you were just lucky to get your advanced parole. You should definitely not travel in that case, because if they find out that you're not eligible for advanced parole when you come back, that would be an issue. But otherwise, no. And that's the reason why for people with who are going through adjustment of status and they have a deportation order, they cannot get advanced parole through that process because the deportation order makes you ineligible for a green card. So you cannot travel on advanced parole through adjustment of status. So that's a different process. All of that to say your AP is valid or is dependent on your current status or what you're applying through. So I'll let Lucas now talk about how he was able to get his case terminated.
Okay, first let me talk about my advanced parole experience, okay? Just to comment on something, you know, I've also gotten advice from different lawyers, and I don't know where these lawyers get their degrees from. You know, like it's very frustrating because the first lawyer I consulted with told me that since I was married and such, it wasn't a good idea for me to terminate my proceedings. It wasn't a good idea for me to go back to Brazil on advanced parole. You know, and he was charging me a lot of money. And I'm like, dude, seriously? So I went somewhere else. You know, I visited a different lawyer. She accepted, okay, to do my case. We were able to terminate the order. But unfortunately, she sent the advanced parole application to the wrong address. So I had to file everything again with an updated doctor's letter. You know, and I was approved in 2 months. The application she sent is still pending. Okay, and I wasted a lot of money. And she heard a lot from me, trust me. But you know, like I don't know where they get these degrees from, seriously, because we're like, you know, if it wasn't for this group, I would still be in this country without a legal entry, you know, because of these lawyers who are poor educated, you know. So just saying. Anyways, I went back to Brazil after 18 years to, you know, my grandma has a lot of health problems, so I went to see her. I was in Brazil for about a week. It was amazing. Okay, if you have not traveled on advanced parole, I highly recommend it. Okay, when I come back into the country, I came back through Newark. So the process was very fast. Okay, from the time I exited the plane, okay, and then. And by the time I was out of secondary inspection, it was only 5 minutes. Okay, I was in the same line with American citizens. There were U.S. citizens in secondary inspection. So if you're traveling out of the country and you're coming back, don't think that you're just gonna be sent to secondary because you have DACA, okay? Because you might not even go to secondary inspection. So just saying. So the officer at customs barely looked at my AP document. Like, you know, I was also like, Hugo, you know how you said you were shocked when they said you were free to go? I was the same way because they barely looked at the paper. I felt like saying something. Hey, can you double check? You know, but I was able to go. I was able to come back. It was a very fun experience. It was expensive, but it was worth it. I was lucky to have my deportation order terminated. You know, do you want me to explain to the group how I got it terminated right now, so people can have questions? Or
yes, please, because
Mhm.
Wilmer and I are in that process right now, and
Sure.
it's been a pain for us for sure.
So this is what I did. Okay, let me explain to you what I did. After the lawyer sent the you know, like the documents to the court, if you go to the EOIR website, there's gonna be the court's phone number and the court's address. Okay, so what I used to do is call the court every single day, and I used to speak with his assistants every single day. You can get a hold of them, and if you don't, you can leave a voicemail message. So I bothered them quite a lot, and for certain things in life, you have to be annoying. Okay, don't think that you're being annoying. You don't want to do it. You know, if you want to get something done, you have to be persistent. Okay, and you have to have faith in God. You have to think positive. You have to think, you know, this is gonna be okay. You know, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna get this curse over with. You know, and I'm gonna be able to get my green card. You have to be positive and you have to be persistent. That's the advice that I give to everybody. Okay, don't be afraid. The first lawyer told me not to do this, and I did. And guess what? He lost money. He lost recommendations because I won't recommend him to anybody. And my deportation order is terminated, thanks to God. Okay?
So did it get administratively closed before they terminated it, or did they just terminated it right away?
So we sent an motion to reopen. Am I talking, Alan? Or is this my tone okay?
Oh, that's good.
Okay. So we sent a motion to reopen in one package, and then we sent a motion to terminate in another package. Okay. That's the only thing that's all we sent them. So the reopening was approved, and the deportation, the termination of the order was also approved. But like I said, I was very persistent. I was talking to them every day. We have to be annoying, okay, to get the something like this resolved. Okay.
Lucas, can you tell us a little bit about what the lawyer used to plead your case? Obviously, you came here as a minor, so that, you know, weighs heavily. But like, did she include education, you know, your job, and you've maintained your DACA status, you've done everything you can up to this point? What was included in that motion?
So I only have a single entry in the country. Okay, I don't have a double entry, so that makes things a little easier. If you do have a double entry, don't lose your hope, but it did make things a little easier. Okay, I was never arrested. Okay, I have an associate's degree, I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree, and I'm getting my doctorate right now. So that also helped. Okay, we came to the United States because my brother is disabled. So if we would have stayed in Brazil, he would have died. So I had to send proof. I had to send doctor's letter. You know, it wasn't an easy process. Okay, but I think being persistent, Hugo, was the most important thing. I was calling the court every single day. So I guess he got sick of me and terminated the order. But, you know.
So the lawyer sent the motion straight to the judge. You didn't try to go to ICE or ICI or use SCIS to do a joint motion first?
No, so none of that happened. We just sent the order straight to the court. The way we found out where the court was because I did FOIA, you know, so we saw everything. We saw my first entry here back in 2004. and they received it. So you called the court and said what? So I used to when I called the court, I used to tell them, hey, I have DACA. USCIS is stating on their website that if you have a deportation order, you can't travel out of the country. And my grandma is sick, and I need to travel out of the country on advanced parole. I used to tell them, please, in the name of Jesus Christ, terminate my order. I've been here since I was 9. I need this over with because I want to live in the United States. There was a lot, but I'm glad the process is over, and it's gone.
Well,
I think you're one of the lucky ones because getting a motion to reopen actually open is they rarely approve them. Like the judge could have just denied reopening, and if it doesn't get reopened, then you can't terminate it. So
yeah, like Lucy is saying, there is power in the name of Jesus Christ. And in my affidavit, because you also have to send an affidavit to the court, I did mention, I did explain my faith in Jesus and God as well. And I explained to them that I'm in this country because God wants me in this country. There is definitely power in the name of Jesus.
Definitely, yeah.
So, as Wilma was saying, I think your case is definitely one of the most straightforward ones that I've heard of. Especially not having to go to court at all and just getting reopened and terminated at the same time. So
yeah, I believe I didn't need to go to court because I was constantly talking to the assistants. I was talking to them every day. So if they had a question, they could have asked me. Really.
So where was your case at? Was it in Texas at the time?
Yeah, so
okay.
It was in Texas, and about I don't. It's just like CBP. Some people say if you come back through New York, you're gonna have a better luck than if you come back through California. I don't, in my opinion, from what I've seen, I don't think the location matters, okay, where the court is, because in Massachusetts, where a lot of people are Democratic and we don't have many Republicans here, it's very hard to get a deportation order terminated. In Texas, where everybody is against the immigrants, I got mine resolved in less than 6 months. I don't think people should worry about the location as much. I don't think it matters.
I think it matters the most, like who the judge reviewing your case is, and I only say that because in my case, we sent a lot of proof that I'm a nurse working in the COVID ICU. I have a bachelor, soon to be a family nurse practitioner, married to a U.S. citizen, approved I-130, no crimes, and I have tried to reopen 4 different times. I have spent almost $30,000, and every single time it gets denied. And then this year, when I sent guidance to reopen cases like mine and Hugo's, that they were just going to reopen and terminate them, I was really happy when that came out. But then I realized that Texas sued the Biden administration. And if you check like ICE website, the guidance is no longer there. So they took it off. They're not answering to motions to reopen. So here we are again. Like I feel like after 5 years, I feel a little bit helpless because I've been through this so long. No.
So let me. I know Hugo wants to talk. Let me ask a very very fast question. So your case was reopened by the court. So they basically have the documents. Are they saying that ICE needs to approve it first before they can proceed? Wilmer?
You, right?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh no! So my case is not even reopened. They have denied the motions to reopen. So they can't terminate it if it's not reopened. So because my case was appealed, the Board of Immigration's Appeals has the power over my case, not the judge in California. So, but if let's say that we requested that ICE agrees to reopen, so if they say that they agree, then they give you a paperwork that you send to the court, and then they automatically just reopen and terminate it. But since
Okay.
they're not answering, we are out of luck.
Okay, but who's holding the paper right now? Who needs to send it to the court?
There's no paper to send to the court because ICE hasn't even answered back. So
Okay, so what I would suggest you to do is to call ICE every single day and tell them that you need this order terminated.
I have called. I haven't really been able to get a hold of anybody, but I guess we're not going to wait for them to respond. We're just going to file the AOS. And basically on the AP says that if you left with a deportation, you actually comply with the order from the judge. So we're going to use the same argument to try to win my case. But that's in the...
So I have heard of a few people who got approved that way, Wilmer. And last time I talked to my attorney, I like to have a plan B and a plan C. I personally have been waiting on ICE to answer my joint motion request since December. My lawyer right now is pretty hesitant on going to the judge before my I-130 is approved, because in our experience here in Atlanta, and my judge is also known as one of the hardest judges, not just here, but in the entire country. You can actually Google him, and there's many lawsuits against him because he has the most denied cases.
We're watching.
He's at the top. So I can understand her hesitation. I probably won't hear back from my I-130 until about January at the earliest. So right now I'm kind of like, do I really want to push to go straight to the judge, or do I want to wait 8 more months and get the I-130? Because her argument is right now it's still not certain. You have a pending application, and they're going to be like, okay, so you don't have a green card available to you yet. With the approved I-130, it makes my case a lot simpler. She sounds very confident that I'll get it reopened with the I-130, but it's just, I don't know what to do. Luckily, this is my first time trying to reopen my case, so I haven't been denied before. So I feel for you, Wilmer. It's very discouraging for sure. But I also have seen many people get their cases reopened and terminated. A friend of mine, or a couple of friends of mine, got theirs reopened. My friend recently got her green card. She had the exact same case as mine. So that's kind of what pushed me to finally take this step, because before now, all I heard from lawyers was, yeah, you don't really have a shot, including lawyers that I really trust. So,
and you do have a shot. You will get this terminated. Okay.
Yeah, I have to believe it now. I have no other option. But my plan was, or is, if I get denied, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing as Wilmer's doing. I'll probably apply for the I-212. I forgot the name of that application, but it basically readmits you to the United States after deportation order, and take that to my adjustment of status interview and try to make an argument there.
I guess you don't have to wait for the I-212 to get approved. You can submit them together with your iOS package. Some people, they send it, and that takes about a year. But if you send them together, they both get checked at the same time. Basically, what they're saying is that USCIS considers you leaving on a deportation as the order was completed. So the court no longer has jurisdiction over your case, but USCIS has power over any immigrant that just recently arrived and was paroled into the U.S. So that's the argument that they're making. But I mean, I have no other option, and waiting for ICE is not going to happen. And so I wanted to show people how to check your case online, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm just going to share my screen. Can people see it? Can you guys see it now?
No. Maybe I need to click something.
Let me see.
Let's see. No.
Oh, I guess it's not gonna let me do it. Okay, so I can't check it, but if you go to the Google, you can write BIA case status, and then basically just enter.
I'll do it from my screen. I think I can do it.
Oh, it sounds good.
Just search. Let me see.
So I guess basically, if I get approved for the green card through this process, we still have to submit the proof that I'm now a green card holder to the court and telling them that they now need to terminate it.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go here. I went to Google and typed in Department of Justice search alien records. Okay. And then I went to the second link here, automated case information. And this page opened up. Now I am going to get out of here because I don't want to show my number to everybody. Hold on.
We can see the screen, Ugo. I think you should
can see
stop
the screen
sharing your
still.
screen.
Yeah, we can see your number.
Can you see it now?
No.
Okay. I forgot my number. What is it? Oh. Okay, so this is what it shows for me. Okay, the immigration judge ordered removal, shows the date and the court address. So it was in Atlanta. Right now, it's not showing any information right here because, again, my case is with ICE, trying to hear back from ICE. I haven't sent it to the court yet. But once I do, hopefully if they agree to reopen it, then it should show right here. So this is how you can see whether you have an immigration or a deportation order or whether you're in removal proceedings. And the alien number is what I entered in the previous page. It's the same as your USCIS number. For myself, it's the same number that they assigned me when I crossed the border in 2005. I still had the records, and when I applied for DACA the first time, I used that same number. So they have all my records, going back to, maybe you traveled and they didn't see that you have a deportation order. No, they did. I sent all my notice to appear. The same alien number is linked to my DACA as, that notice to appear that I first got in 2005. So everything is together. So, but maybe you have more than one alien number. So that's why you should ask for your FOIA if you have any doubt of what your record looks like. But I hope this gives you guys a idea of where to start on checking that removal proceedings.
And I also want to show something to people. Like Vidalia did, she showed her parole stamp. I want to show mine. Can I?
You're proud of your AP stamp. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Sí se puede. Sí se puede. No tengamos miedo.
Claro.
Yeah.
Sí se puede. No tengamos más miedo. No se pongan como yo, que de primero decía, no, yo no voy a ir. Yo tengo miedo. Y se me metió eso en la cabeza de que yo dije, no voy a ir, tengo mucho miedo, y más que me decían, no, que ya te vas a quedar y que no sé qué. Entonces, eso me puso como más nerviosa, ¿verdad? Y fue cuando yo publiqué aquí en el grupo, pues que como que estaba entre la espada y la pared, ¿qué hago? Ya tengo el papel conmigo, no, ¿qué hago? Entonces, fue cuando yo hice la publicación y de verdad que estoy muy agradecida con el grupo y gracias a Vanessa por todo el apoyo que nos dan, de verdad. No tengo palabras para darle las gracias, no hay palabras de verdad, porque gracias al grupo, yo no sabía de Advanced Parole antes de llegar al grupo, sinceramente, yo no sabía nada de eso. Cuando yo me encontré el grupo en TikTok, yo dije, aquí soy. Y miren, pues gracias, yo les vuelvo a recomendar de verdad, no tengamos miedo a no les puedo decir que intenten, háganlo ahorita que podemos, porque mañana pasado no sabemos qué va a pasar con DACA, entonces mientras podamos, aprovechemos este momento, que de verdad es una sensación que no hay palabras para explicar. Después de, yo tenía 13 años que no iba a mi país, y cuando yo llegué a mi país fue algo que no puedo explicar, la verdad. No, la emoción, los sentimientos de ver a tus padres después de cuántos años. Y recuerden que la vida nos cambia de un día para otro. Ahorita, por ejemplo, le doy gracias a Dios, de verdad, que me dio la oportunidad de ver a mis padres, a mi familia. Uno nunca puede saber qué nos va a pasar mañana. La vida no la tenemos comprada. Entonces, como me dijo una persona aquí, que es más triste ir a abrazar a una tumba que a tus padres, a tu familiar, a tus padres en vivo. Y sinceramente le agradezco a esa persona que me puso ese comentario. Fue el que me hizo recapacitar, como vete, no te detengas, si lo tienes ya en tus manos, ¿por qué te lo vas a dejar perder? Es tu oportunidad que muchas personas quisieran, y que la tienes, la vas a dejar. En el nombre de Dios, yo me voy, confío en Dios que todo va a estar bien. Entonces yo les aconsejo de verdad, sinceramente, yo sé que hay muchas personas en mi situación como la mía, he visto muchas publicaciones, entonces de verdad espero motivar a muchas personas que hagan Advance Parole, háganlo. No, todo va a estar bien, como he visto en el grupo, a nadie de los Dreamers que han viajado con Advance Parole, siempre y cuando respetemos las fechas, todos están para atrás. Es mi opinión y mi, ¿cómo se dice? Mi consejo.
Sí,
Muchas gracias, Vidalia. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to, go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off. It's almost 9 o'clock. I sent the link to Cesar because he also has a deportation order. I know it's almost 9, so I wanted him to run through his case, maybe in 4 or 5 minutes, Cesar. I think you've traveled, so if you can go over how you got your deportation order, your traveling experience, and whether you're trying to terminate that order now.
Cool, great, thanks. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks. So Cesar Vieda, I got my deportation order similar to you guys, crossed the border illegally in 99 when I was 11. We got caught. They call that program at the time catch and release. They catch you, they release you, they give you a notice to appear 6 months later or 3 months later, and you don't show up to court, you get a removal order in absentia. That was in 2000. I've had DACA since day one. I applied literally first day that the program came out. I was going to travel with AP back in 2014, 2015. At that time, I was advised not to do so. And at that time, I wasn't open about my status. So I didn't have like a group like we do now to like support each other and hear everyone's stories. So I didn't do it back then. And I regretted that decision. Got married to a US citizen 2018, 2019. 2017, then Trump came into power, took away AP, couldn't do it. We've been doing consular proceedings for the past 3 or 4 years, and we stuck there. Found the group 3 or 4 months ago, and I decided, hey, I'm going to do AP. Reached out to my attorney. My attorney really didn't advised me not to do it. She just thought that we will arrive at the same outcome at the same time. Okay, I don't really know if that's true, but anyway. So I sent a AP back in June. It's still pending, by the way, because my grandmother was very sick. Unfortunately, end of July, grandmother passed away. So I requested an InfoPass appointment. Got approved August 4th. I made a post on that on the group, but if anybody has questions, feel free to put it on the post there, and I'm happy to answer any questions on that. Anyway, got approved August 4th. August 5th, I traveled. Literally the next day, less than 24 hours after I got approved, I traveled to Honduras. I was there for 8 days. First time back in the countries in 23 years. First time seeing my father in 15 years. First time my immediate family, my parents and my sisters being together in the same room in 25 years. It was an amazing experience. If you guys are thinking about doing it or are unsure, I highly recommend you do so. The trip was amazing. Had a lot of fun. Visited my grandmother's grave and all that. Coming back, the experience, as we all know, you can't do online check-in. The only minor issue wasn't even with immigration, CBP. It was with United, the crew in Honduras. When I went there to check in, they were like, is this the paper that you got? And I'm like, yeah. She was like, well, usually it's kind of like brownish, tannish color. You know that official immigration paper? I don't know if that's true or not. I literally had a white paper, right? Like literally they printed it in the office. And I was like, dude, it's official. It's a stamp here. There's all of that. So that was the minor detail. I was paroled in Houston. First officer told him, hey, traveling with AP under DACA. He was like, oh, cool, no problem. And the only question he had was, when are they going to fix your status? It's going to make my life so much easier, right? I went to the famous Cuartito, which really in Houston isn't a Cuartito. Everything in Texas is big, right? And it's a very large area in a much larger area. And I was there maybe 10 minutes. The gentleman called my name. It's like, Cesar Viera, here you go, you're good to go. And I asked him, do you keep the AP paper? He's like, yeah. I was like, could I take a photo for my records? And he said, yeah, sure. So for you guys, that might be a good tip, right? They're not going to give you that paper back. You probably don't need it because it's stamped on the passport and you can get your I-94 or whatever, but they let me do that. So back in the US, I came back on Saturday, literally this past Saturday. Right now, we're thinking about doing AOS with the 2112. I have an I-130 approved, a 2112 approved. I actually emailed my attorney earlier today. We already talked about this, and we're hoping to send that out over the next few weeks.
So Cesar, so your attorney is on the same page as Wilmer's attorney, where you're doing the I-212.
Yeah,
the adjustment.
And just to share some info on that real quick, what my attorney said is that it's a gray line. Local offices have taken a different approach. Some local offices accept, or some local offices have taken the route or the path that if you leave with AP, you're self-deporting, aka you're fulfilling the court's order. You come back in, your 2112 takes care of that, so you're good to go. Some other local offices are saying, no, you left with AP, therefore you couldn't have gotten deported. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna go forward. Hopefully, we get one of those offices that they accept that, and maybe in 9 months we'll have the green light. So we'll see.
So just to give you guys some light here, real quick, the I-212 is giving you permission to come back to the United States after being deported. So usually you actually have to leave the country without advance parole with an order of removal. So that order of removal is triggered, I guess, and it's finalized. And then the I-212 lets you come back. So what Cesar is saying is that different offices have taken different approach because, as we've heard for a long time, leaving on AP is not considered an actual departure. So for that reason, it doesn't trigger the removal order. But some offices are saying, yes, it does trigger the removal order. So that's why this is such in a gray area. Some offices are considering that you fulfilled the removal order, and some offices are considering that you didn't. But hopefully we're going to see more and more of these cases, and we're going to have a more uniform approach, and I'm hoping that it's going to be in our favor. That would be great. We have a question here. It says, correct me if I'm wrong, is it true that deportation proceedings are automatically nulled when ICE fails to deliver notice? No, it's not true. What is true is, and you're confusing deportation proceedings with a deportation order. So if you are issued a notice to appear and it doesn't show a time, a place, a date, then you can file a motion to reopen and get your case terminated based on that, because you didn't have the information, so you couldn't have gone to the hearing. But you still have to file that. It's not automatically nulled. So that is not true. There's another question.
Caesar, I'm sending my AOS with the I-212 next week.
All
So
right.
we'll see what happens. But I guess the form is not only necessarily if you leave the U.S., it's also permission to reapply for admission, even if you're in the U.S., if you have a legal entry. So after the deportation.
Yeah, so that 212 is very popular if you're doing consular proceedings.
Yeah.
Right. And anyway, so.
Can I ask a question to you guys that's doing this process, filing the I-212, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a deportation order and you apply for your green card along with this form here, and your green card gets approved, does your deportation order get terminated, or how does that work?
So you still have the deportation. Technically, the I-212 removes the deportation. Mm-hmm. But if you go to the website that Hugh was showing you, mm-hmm. it will still say that you have a deportation order. So in the future, if you're coming through the airport, mm-hmm. you might have an officer that says, you still have a deportation order. Why do you have a green card? So what they recommend you do is, once you get your green card, you file it to the court. Maybe you get ICE to agree with you and say, I already have a green card, just terminate my case. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that's what happens.
Okay.
So yeah, we have another person doing the same thing, and that's what her attorney said, is that, you know, he's expecting her to get the green card, and then they're going to go back to the court to actually get her case terminated that way.
Yeah, and look, it's not. I will say this. It's not the ideal solution, right? We all wish I can go to the court. Hey, dude, married to U.S. citizen. I work in FANG, electric engineer, 2 daughters that are citizens, fucking do a lot of taxes and all of this stuff. Never had any issues. But the bottom line is, for whatever reason, they're not really reopening these cases. So it's kind of like a Band-Aid approach. It's kind of like almost punting the ball a little bit. The thought behind it is, like, once you have your green card, it's much easier to go back to them and tell them, hey, dude, I have a green card. Go ahead and close this. What are you doing? You know, maybe maybe it's going to be an issue in a year from now. But hey, I want to have that issue. I'd much rather be in that than where I am now. So
right.
Yeah, when you have if this meeting is recorded, I would like you to watch the beginning so you can see how I got mine.
I was listening to it. You
okay.
were nonstop. Yeah, no, I listened to it. And
okay.
Yeah.
So to answer Cindy's question, are exclusion proceedings the same as removal order? First, I'm going to talk about what I think here. So don't take this as the word of God. But I think there is a technical difference between exclusion, deportation, and removal. You're going to have to look that up on your own, because I cannot explain. But the general gist of what your question is here are proceedings the same as a removal order? No, proceedings just means that you have a hearing scheduled and your case is still open, pretty much. So you're gonna have to go to the judge, and the judge is gonna decide what to do. During that process, you are in proceedings. A removal order means your proceedings are already final. The judge already made a decision. The judge told you you need to leave the country. That's what a removal order is. So the removal order is the worst outcome of a proceeding. If we don't have any more questions, we are going to be finishing here. Went 9 minutes over time, but I think we did pretty good considering there's 5 people. Thank you, Cesar, for joining last minute.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, I don't see anything. So thank you guys. Have a good night. And good luck to all of us still trying to fight this demon.
Thank you. Bye. I wish you luck to everybody. You can do this, okay?
All right.
Bye,
Yeah, we-
everybody. We'll keep you updated on what happens.